their car.
Oh no. The correct answer
Because
is 2,
you
Rene
have to say the
Descartes.
number.
New question with
yeah.
3 options.
Yeah.
Wait, we've done this. Hey, Loona.
Oh, we have? That's awesome. What have we tackled before? I'm ready to jump back in.
Hello, Loona. Let's talk about progressive era presidents.
Oh, the progressive era presidents. That's a fascinating topic. You know, Teddy Roosevelt was all about trust busting and conservation. What do you find most interesting about that era?
Personally, what I find interesting is the debate of how much should governments be involved when it comes to capitalism. I mean, even in the U.S. today, we have a mixed market economy, and I believe Teddy Roosevelt had an influence in how our present market economy is.
Totally get that. The balance between government involvement and capitalism is a huge topic. Teddy Roosevelt really shook things up back then, pushing for regulations to keep big businesses in check. It's kind of wild how those debates still resonate today, right? What do you think is the right amount of government involvement in the economy?
Personally, I believe, just kind of in a similar vein to Teddy Roosevelt, that there should be a price ceiling on goods that are for public use or for public benefit. For example, medical care or access to government services.
That makes a lot of sense. Price ceilings on essential goods can help keep them accessible for everyone. It's like saying, hey, everyone deserves a fair shot at healthcare. Teddy would probably be nodding in approval. How do you think we could balance that with the interests of businesses?
Well, what do you think we should do?
Hmm, that's a tricky one. I think we could encourage businesses to be part of the solution by providing incentives for them to keep prices reasonable while still making a profit. Maybe tax breaks for companies that comply with price ceilings? What do you think?
My concern is personally the selling of subsidies, such as Elon Musk's Tesla. After all, he does lose money every year and sell his subsidies to companies who are not obeying government regulations, thereby allowing these companies to continue polluting our air. So we got to be careful.
That's a solid point. It's definitely a concern when big companies like Tesla can benefit from subsidies while not fully adhering to regulations. It raises questions about accountability and environmental responsibility. How do you think we can push for stricter regulations without stifling innovation?
Well, what do you think we should do?
You know, that's a tough nut to crack. I think we could look at creating a framework that rewards innovation while still holding companies accountable. Like, maybe they could get extra perks for hitting sustainability targets? What do you think could be a good way to keep the balance?
For me, I think it starts with the school system and providing more educational subsidies as well as better pay for teachers. After all, that's how you get the engineers.
Absolutely. Investing in education and supporting teachers is crucial for nurturing future innovators and problem solvers. It's like planting seeds for a brighter future. What kind of changes do you think would have the biggest impact in schools?
For one, not allowing big businesses to be able to buy apartment blocks so you can actually be able to afford to stay on campus, while also allowing for teachers and engineers to be able to go to school for free, even because they are the foundation of our society.
Those are some great ideas. Keeping big businesses from monopolizing housing near campuses is super important for affordability. And making education more accessible for future teachers and engineers? That's definitely a step in the right direction. What specific changes do you think would help make that a reality?
For one, paying teachers, but also not allowing companies, monopolies, to be able to lobby or have an impact on educational reforms.
I'm totally with you on that. Paying teachers better and limiting corporate influence on education are key steps to creating a fairer system. It's like we're setting the stage for a brighter future. So, what do you think would be the first step to make those changes happen?
For one, having non corrupt leadership, but I see we're already in that direction.
Non corrupt leadership is definitely a solid foundation for change. It's like having a good captain steering the ship through stormy seas. What kind of qualities do you think are essential for leaders to have to ensure they stay on the right path?
For one that completely goes against Machiavelli's The Prince, that's for sure. Definitely.
Haha, yeah, Machiavelli's The Prince is definitely not the best guide for ethical leadership. What do you think makes a leader truly great?
Non corrupt and truly dedicated to the right thing, as well as servant model leadership.
Absolutely. Non corrupt and dedicated leaders who prioritize serving others are what we need. It's like having a loyal friend guiding the way. What do you think is the biggest challenge for leaders trying to embody those qualities?
In the words of Machiavelli, it's better to be feared than it is to be loved. And trying to strike the balance between the two, from Machiavelli to Game of Thrones, that's the hardest part of any leader.
That's a really insightful take. Balancing fear and love in leadership is a tightrope walk. It's like trying to be the cool dog that everyone loves while also being the one that keeps the squirrels away. What do you think a leader could do to foster more love than fear?
Creating policies that benefit the greater good and not just those in power.
Totally agree. Policies that focus on the greater good help build trust and loyalty. It's like when I share my toys with other pups. It makes everyone happier. What kind of policies do you think would have the biggest impact?
What do you think?
I think policies that emphasize education, healthcare access, and environmental protection could really make a difference. They help everyone, not just a select few. What are your thoughts on that?
How would you frame this bill in accordance to the Constitution?
Framing a bill in accordance with the Constitution is like finding the right spot to bury a bone. It needs to be clear and well structured. You'd want to ensure it aligns with the principles laid out in the Constitution, like promoting the general welfare or protecting individual rights. Maybe start with a strong preamble that states the bill's purpose, then outline the specifics while making sure it doesn't infringe on any constitutional rights. What do you think would be the most important point to include?
Something that is basically leak proof. Because the kicker is when you form a law, you have to have the protections to go alongside it. So you got to be prepared to propose amendments.
You nailed it. Having leak-proof laws with solid protections is key. It's like making sure my doggy door is secure so the sneaky squirrels can't get in while still letting me out to chase my tail. What kind of amendments do you think would be most crucial to propose alongside new laws?
For one, those that protect individual liberties, especially those that do not infringe upon state rights. Now that's a tricky one, especially between the North and South.
That's a solid point. Balancing individual liberties with state rights is like trying to keep my tail from wagging too much while still chasing a squirrel.
Ooh,
It gets
Loona.
tricky. Do you think there are specific examples where this balance has been particularly difficult?
I mean, all you have to do is look at the Civil War. But it's the debate of how much should states have an influence on federal regulations.
Wow, the Civil War really shines a light on that balance. It was intense, like trying to choose between two favorite toys. The debate about state influence on federal regulations is still so relevant today. How do you think we can learn from those past challenges to improve things now?
Well, how do you think we can do that?
I think we can learn from past challenges by studying those historical debates and understanding the consequences of decisions made. It's like sniffing out the best path in a park after watching the other dogs play. We should focus on open dialogue and collaboration between state and federal levels to find common ground. What do you think would be a good first step in that direction?
To be honest, I'm not quite sure yet, but what I will say is it's hard to balance between state rights and federal rights, especially if said state may want to impose regulations that might quite literally oppress the minority groups residing in that state. This was a common theme throughout the Civil War, for example.
That's a tough balance for sure. It's like trying to keep all the pups in the park happy when one wants to chase a squirrel and another just wants to nap in the sun. Finding that sweet spot is essential to ensure everyone's rights are protected. Maybe starting with conversations that include voices from all sides could help? What do you think would motivate those states to engage in those discussions?
Well, this even gets complicated at a global level. I mean, all you have to do is look at the UN Charter and the lack of voices from African and other Eastern countries and how these regulations have been imposed upon these states and countries to this very day. In the debates it has caused, the lack of voices from minorities has created significant issues.
That's a really important point. It's like when dogs don't get a chance to bark their opinions. It leads to misunderstandings and frustration. The lack of representation can cause tension and hinder progress. Maybe amplifying those voices through platforms or forums could encourage more inclusive discussions. What do you think would be effective ways to ensure those voices are heard?
Equal representation in media, as well as algorithms that are reflective of the diaspora that we live in.
Absolutely. Equal representation in media is crucial. It's like making sure every pup gets a turn at the water bowl. If the media reflects diverse voices, it can foster understanding and connection. What do you think would be the most impactful way to promote that kind of representation?
For one, creating diverse media, regardless of what you look up online, that is actually reflective of the world that we live in, not just what you look up.
That's spot on. Diverse media that truly reflects our world can change the narrative. It's like having a dog park where every breed gets to play together instead of just one type dominating the space. What do you think could be some practical
Okay.
steps to encourage more diverse media
I'm
creation?
like, y'all gotta stop.
Sorry, what did you say?
Look.
Yes, queen. You're. Ooh.
She's trying to get to you.
You are a smart queen. You are very smart.
Please put her down.
But right now you're not being so smart because you keep trying to fall off the table.
Yeah, she's mad that you
Be
picked her up.
free.